Adding block towards. So I'm not saying add block. I'm saying understand that offense, defense, neutral doesn't exist in this game in the same way it exists in other games, but it absolutely exists in people's heads. It 100% exists in people's heads because you get scared. You don't want to lose, and this is why tournaments are more important than ranked. Because people genuinely don't want to lose the tournament. You're playing for money, you know. So you've been able to see players, like when you watch a pro game, you feel as if one player is being more defensive for a while, and then they get a hit, and then you feel that they become more confident. You understand? And now they're pushing a bit more. So you do have this sense of offense, defense, neutral. But it's just not quite the same as in other games. But it does exist, and it's important. It does exist, and it's important. The Qatar or the Avatar, Preston? Nice. Okay. Just gonna let that finish. Hi, Hermison. Hi, Hermison. And it can do you very well to just think about what's happening in that paradigm. And we'll keep coming back to it. You guys will need to know that for more stuff in the future. Because fighting game terms and fighting game breakdowns of Brawlhalla, they work. They work. You can learn a lot from other fighting games. More advantage state and disadvantage state. Yes. Than defense and offense. You're correct. I agree with that as well. I think it's still important to have the ideas of offense and defense because you can still categorize those in your mind. Your defense is, how well you're dodging. Your offense is how well you're attacking, basically. Your defense is how you're responding to being hit, and your offense is how you're responding to your own hits. So I would say they still exist, but you do have a sense of, like, advantage and disadvantage is a subset of neutral. You have neutral, like, you very rarely have true neutral. The only true neutral you have is when no one's doing anything. But even then, you could argue that certain characters have, like, more advantage in that moment than others, Hey, Untrackables. So you can talk about small imbalances in neutral that make a big difference. I feel like weapon throws kind of demolish being in disadvantage, which is kind of whack. Yeah, weapon throws do absolutely screw with the way the game works at a competitive level. They do, because they skew risk reward in some really funny ways. You can almost, like, a lot of the times with a weapon throw, you can just pay the cost of maybe losing your weapon, to ensure you get back down to the floor or you get back on stage. The high percentage play. Yeah, high percentage play. That's perfect way of putting it. And I want you to understand that there is, in my mind, there is a priority. There's an order of priority in these ideas. And this isn't the order in which you should learn them. But in my mind, neutral is king. That's a crown, okay? Neutral is king. Offense comes second. And defense is third. This is a podium, by the way. I spelled defense with two F's. Defense comes third. Now, I'll explain my reasoning for that. I should do them in different colors. Neutral. And this is a terrible way of formatting this, guys. We'll just do it. Like, in terms of priority, neutral, offense, defense. Now, can any of you tell me why neutral... Oh, shit. Language. Why neutral would be more important than defense? It's pretty simple. Like, what happens if you win neutral every time? If you always win neutral, what happens? Cam is blocking the left side of defense. Okay. I'm just going to shrink Cam a little bit. Oh, come on, Epic Pen. Oh my goodness. Okay, go away for a second. going to be a bit smaller for a second, and then we're going back. What happens? Hermeson's got it right. You win. You win. If you just win neutral over and over and over again, you just win. Bam. You don't have to do anything else. You just won the game because your opponent never hits you. Doesn't matter how bad your offense is. Doesn't matter how bad your defense is. You just win. And get another neutral state after leading to another offense. Yeah, exactly. So neutral loops into offense, and then it never has to loop anywhere else. It's like it warms your heart. What? Did Daiko say neutral? Oh. Yeah, neutral offense and defense. So what do you mean? Neutral's only one trick workers. So I just want you to understand, neutral's not a trick. Neutral's not something you do really. It's just a state of the game. But if you are winning neutral, even if you're getting no value, hey, thank you for the Twitch Prime, Vinity. Thank you very much. Alerts on at the moment because I'm on this display. I need to set that up, but thank you very much, man. What a guy. What a guy. I'll rephrase this now. So if you think about neutral as just winning that first hit from that neutral state every time, offense, I consider how much value you get off of each hit, right? Yeah, what a god, Vinity. So let's say you land your spear Serre, right? What if you'd managed to chain that spear Serre into 3 more spear Serres? Then that one neutral win has tripled in value thanks to your offense. And that's why I think offense is second. That's why I think offense is second most important, because it's like multiplicative. Defense doesn't do quite the same thing. Like, you survive, but each time you survive after being hit, you've taken 1 hit, right? So you lose neutral. Yes, you survive every single time, but you're still losing neutral. And you can have really good offense and not pull much value from your like really good defense and not pull value from your offense, so you'll still lose. You'll try so hard because you're not getting any of this value from offense. You're not getting any strings. You're not getting any edge guards. You're not getting any kill moves at a reasonable damage. You still lose. You still lose. Good defense is being good at reducing disadvantage, but to win you need to not be at disadvantage too often. You can't win. Yeah, and also I just want to point out something to you, that generally stronger players are focusing on their offense before their defense. They follow this. Not everyone does. Some people have amazing defense and they have pretty crappy offense, but they have good neutral and they play a weapon like Axe. I want to point out to you that this offense value section, it matters less the more damage your weapon does per hit and the less it's based around strings. For a player that uses these 2 things, a player that uses neutral and defense, what weapon should they be playing? What weapons should they be playing? You guys should know this because it's obvious. Heavy weapons, Axe. It's Axe. They're playing fucking language. They're playing Axe. They don't seek additional value from each of their neutral wins. They stay alive, and they get single hits, and they get a lot of value off those hits. And what's even better is you don't, like, with an Axe Serre, I want you to understand, Axe Serre kills even when it's used on defense. If you're using Scythe and you defend yourself with Sidelight on Scythe, you need offense to produce any kind of kill value. So certain weapons you have to play, like katars as well. Like, you just don't have, if you're just using neutral and defense, you'll nair someone and they'll take 300 damage before they die. It's not good enough. So you can understand how, like, where your strengths lie. So I would say like, my number 1 strength is neutral. My defense is my weakest and my offense is my strongest. So I should be playing a weapon that has, like, neutral pokes and can string. Well, what am I playing? I'm playing Orb. That's smart. That's good of me. My defense is weak, so I can either pick something that has, like, easy defense like Gauntlets or Scythe, and we'll see. No, the way I consider parrying is actually a specific mechanic. Parrying is just what happens when someone dodges and also gains enough advantage to land an attack. That's truly what it is. So you can do safe neutral finish with weird axe play. Yeah, that's an interesting thing about 2 weapons. You can definitely fill out for yourself by using multiple weapons. Okay. So this is the way most top players, most really strong players will look at it. They'll learn things in, like, they won't learn things in this order, but they'll prioritize or understand the value of these things in this order. But what I will say is if you want to improve quickly, it's probably easiest to start here, offense. Start at offense. Because offense, right, is your value generator on most weapons. Value is damage, value is kills, value is how you take stocks. And if you know how your offense works, it gives you a better understanding of what moves you actually want to win neutral with. What attacks you actually want to win neutral with. So let's say you play Scythe and you have some crazy strong reads off of your Enlight. But you never, well, this is a bit sketchy. This is a bit sketchy of your Enlight. And you tend to be able to, if you Sair someone, you tend to be able to hit multiple Sairs in a row, right? Or you get a Sair and then you land a Dare, right? So these are just like pretty good moves to use to hit. But your Nair, you realize that every time you hit a Nair, you never get a follow-up. That can tell you something. That can tell you that there's higher value based on winning neutral with these two moves than this one. And that doesn't mean you don't use it because you use what hits. But it gives you information about how you could optimize your play. All right, I'm gonna read chat for a moment. That was a lot. That was a lot already. Quickly restate what you mean by neutral. So neutral game is when there's no is when there's no distinct advantage one way or the other. So let's say if offense is what you do after you land an attack, and defense is what you do after you've been hit, neutral is what happens before either of those two things. So you spawn into the game, you both pick up weapons, you're in neutral. So neutral you can consider fighting for the first hit. And neutral, honestly, although it's easily reducible to that idea of fighting for the first hit, neutral is the most complex of the three. I can break down offense for you. My defense, I can break down defense a bit as well. My defense is a bit weak. Neutral is like the most interesting. Cool. Bam. I can't think what else to add immediately there. So if you have any questions, please give them now while I think. So I'd say, yeah, if you're learning, you could probably, just to like recap that quickly, if you're learning, you could start with offense, and that means figuring out how your attacks chain into each other, figuring out what you can do with that. And this is if you already play the game. If you don't play the game yet and you want to pick up a weapon, just play. Am I wrong, or neutral doesn't exist without offense and defense? Can you articulate that more, Hermeson? I don't think you're probably not wrong. These are very, very abstract concepts. Fourth, there's no fourth. These are there's neutral, there's offense, and there's defense in this paradigm, this way of thinking about the game. That's it. Are we studying Brawlhalla? Yeah, we're learning some fighting. It just feels like offense and defense is what defines neutral. So, okay, Hermeson here is a strong player. I want you to say that. And Hermeson is having some insight into the game. So I'm gonna explain. I'm gonna try and see if I can guess what you mean, because I think I know what you mean. So let me come off this. Let's just go into some replay. Random replay. So neutral is more like how you move before attack or dodge. Yeah, you can dodge in neutral, you can attack in neutral. They're abstract concepts. You have to be pretty loose with the definitions. Right. So like Hermeson, what I think you're getting at is that technically I should be defending here because he's got an advantage over me. He has some kind of advantage by having a weapon, and therefore I am already in some sense defensive, right? Like there is clearly a disadvantage for me here. I wish the play button worked. Let's It's really frustrating. And that's like almost always the case, right? There's almost always a slight advantage or disadvantage either way. Look at that. That's offense. And he reversals me. Shit. So like technically, like, is this neutral or is this offense defense? You can call it both. You can call it both. It's mostly a way of thinking about the game. There's a chess book actually that talks about like the chess neutral game that calls the small advantages and disadvantages. It uses the word imbalances. There's almost always like you can use an attack without intending to hit your opponent away neutral. Yes, you can. Yeah. Exactly. And the thing is, you can play neutral with absolute. So, I want to say something. Oh gosh, Jesus. You can be in neutral, and you can have absolute certainty that the next attack you do is going to hit because of like you just have a soul read, right? You just know for some reason, and this happens fairly often. I want to point out that technically you're actually on offense. Even though it looks like you're in neutral, at that moment you're on offense, even though no hit has happened. And the reason that's happened is because of the way neutral is played out, you have garnered some kind of metagame advantage, an advantage that exists in your head because of the way that like you know each player is playing, and then you play off that. And they're completely unaware. They're completely unaware that they're being attacked. Because of previous game information, or because of reads, like meta-based reads that you have, you can just like you can go for a true like attack on someone from neutral, and that is essentially offense. It's like you can attack whenever you want, right? So offense is not just hits; it stretches beyond what you do after your first hit. It's also if you know in the heart, like in your mind, that something's going to hit and you go for it. That's offense. Yeah, I mean you can call it both. You can call it both. That's why the ideas aren't concrete. Undershooting, right. Whiffing attacks in neutral is a very core part of Brawlhalla. And manipulating your attacks so that they're safe is almost, you could just say, a form of defense in neutral. I don't want to go like much further than that. And like when you talk about bad reads, it's me like, I think I know I'm attacking. I think I know where he is in neutral, but what's actually happening is I've miscomprehended the situation. My comprehension skills are messed up. So I just do some random attack and he gets a free punish. Hey Malibu. Alright, I don't know why we're watching this now. Boom, boom, boom. It's really interesting though how this game works. So much mental that can fake a certain state, like being aggressive against a certain player. Not entirely sure what you mean, Hermie. I'd say it's all fighting games, you know? It's all fighting games. Kurisu, I am not awake enough to spar you. Sorry, my dude. Brawlhalla Masterclass, gosh. This comes from fighting games. Wallpaper from the games earlier. Oh, 2v2, that was fun, yeah. I remember you, dude. Okay, how are you guys feeling? Are you guys awake? Do you want to try and see what the next step of this is? I'll get a drink of water and I can show you the next conclusion, the next part of this lesson. What about spacing? Spacing is something else. We'll do something on spacing and movement. So if we go through neutral, we'll talk about spacing. I mean, think about this, okay? And this blew my mind when I thought about it for the first time. like when you're in neutral, you have spacing, vertical and horizontal positioning, right? X and Y axis movement, and you have timing. You have space and time, and those are the true like fundamental aspects of neutral. Isn't that crazy? Hang on. I'm just gonna get a glass of water, and I'll show you guys the next stage. It's gonna be a little bit more ghetto. Give me a sec. All right, you ready for this? This is a deep dive. This is a deep dive. I love talking about fighting games. Fighting games are my favorite thing in the world. I wish everyone could see the beauty of fighting games in the same way that I see them. It makes more sense to go from defense to off instead of going to neutral. Yes, Sloth, I want to point that out. That's a really good point. Ideally, you want to go straight from defense to offense. Can you always do that? I want to say that there's some risk involved. First of all, in order to do it immediately, you have to gravity cancel. Gravity cancel carries the mechanical risk of having your dodge down for 3 seconds, which can kill you. In high level play, you can die. The second thing, even if you don't gravity cancel, you do a regular dodge and then you launch offense, you need to understand that because you were in the defensive mindset, or because you were just hit, because your idea of what was happening in the game just changed, your offense is going to be weaker. Like you were chilling in neutral, like, yeah, this is what's going on, this is what we're doing, right? You get hit, bam, right? Your idea of what's happening is just shattered in that instant. And then you dodge, you survive, and then you instantly want to go and attack. It takes time, like you get staggered. Everyone's familiar with this idea of like players being staggered after a weird hit, you know, they're just not dodging as well as they should. Lots of other things. You do bad attacks. You can't jump straight to offense because your brain is just not ready for it. Your brain doesn't have a grip, like a strong enough grip on the game to make a good read. It's very low percentage play if you're talking like poker terms. Very low value play. All dudes trying to kill you unarmed. Well, there is a meta to that because unarmed is very good at reversaling in that way. But yeah, it is often bad. Alright, we're going to go into a deep dive for this next bit. And this is a little bit on neutral, okay? And I'm going to take you guys with me, and then I'm going to explain it in Brawlhalla terms. So we're going somewhere, okay? We're going to go to... Hang on. So there is a player called Machabo. He plays Street Fighter V. He's a top player, and before that he played Guilty Gear, which is another fighting game. These are some of the hardest fighting games in the world. Like straight up, some of the hardest fighting games in the world. And he's a god. He's a god, okay? Now he wrote a guide to Guilty Gear, but it speaks in fighting game terms, and it's universal. So he writes this: learn neutral game using the 3 structure. This is translated, by the way. So he wrote in Japanese. Here we introduce a leading concept, the 3 structure, which is composed by 3-part concepts that can facilitate decision making in the neutral game. Okay. An active neutral game can, in the large scheme of things, be divided into decisions regarding 3 different types of moves. So in neutral, what he's saying is that you have 3 options. Ultimately, in neutral, you have 3 options. Okiwaza, Atewaza, and Sashikaishi. Now, we're gonna take those and we're gonna translate them. I don't have a neat translation, but you can understand from the meaning. So we're gonna look at the first one. Let me get my graphics tablet. We're gonna look at the first one. Okiwaza. Ooh. Let's get line. Yep. Boom. Okiwaza. Always used to tell me, don't forget your lunch when going on adventures. On a Twitch sub equals a lunch for Rob, so don't forget to sub with your wife. Yeah, guys. Web link, please. I'll post the link in chat so you guys can read this if you want. Ooh. Let's undo for a second. Now, I recommend, if you want to, please feel free to browse through this article sometime. That's the link to the guide. But let's go through these together. Okiwaza, number 1, means that you preemptively make a move. Preemptively make a move because it covers certain space or because it wins against certain moves. I want you to understand this is an attack. Okiwaza, preemptively making a move, it means you are the first to an attack. You initiate from neutral with an attack. 1. 2. Atewaza. Alright? And we're not going to use the Japanese names, don't worry. We'll find some words that make sense for it. Means doing a move that will hit a waiting opponent. Doing a move that will hit a waiting opponent. I.e. to dash in, and let's say, in this case, right? In this case, I'm going to translate this for you. Dash, bow, D-light. He's waiting on the ground. Bam, bow down light. Or another one, okay? They're waiting on the ground. Dash, spear, side light. Your opponent's sitting there waiting. What do? You dash at them and you hit them. That's Atewaza, yeah? Then, number 3, Sashikaishi. Waiting for the opponent to make a move and reacting to it. Reacting to it. I.e. dash in. Right. So this is baiting. So you dash in. Dash. Spot dodge. Spot dodge. Spot dodge. Hang on. Dash. Spot dodge. Jump. Fast fall. Sare. Axe. Any weapon. Any fucking weapon does this. You can also bait dodges. Yeah, you can. So you can punish a whiff move or you can punish a dodge. Obviously, look, there is going to be some difficulty translating this over, but I want you to understand the core concept. You've got 3 elements here. 3 elements. You've got preemptively doing a move, which let's call that poking, right? Poking, which means going first. Oh gosh, let me do it nice and big up here. Poking. You've got waiting. Well, no, we should just call it attacking. It's attacking, waiting, and let me just try and find. So like, obviously it'd be great if we could all just use the Japanese terms, but I'm gonna be honest. I know we're not gonna do that. No, this is all neutral. All 3 of these apply to neutral. So Okiwaza means that you preemptively make a move. Atewaza means doing a move that will hit waiting opponents. It means waiting for an opponent to make a move and reacting to it. So either you are attacking preemptively. Yeah, you're also attacking preemptively, punishing waiting, and waiting. How can I simplify this? How can I simplify this? So like people who are weaker at the game will call this being passive. They'll call this being passive, Sashikaishi. But what you need to understand is you have a triangle. It's a triangle where 1 beats, I think he writes it down here so I get the order correct. Yeah, 1 beats 2 beats 3 beats. So, gosh, so this is why I kind of wanted to prepare things a bit more so I could get through this more smoothly. But we're not going to be able to blowing Brawlhalla Banes right now. 2 or 3 are opposites, right? They're kind of opposites. So I want you to understand that 1, preemptively making a move, beats someone that's trying to do a move that will hit a waiting opponent. So let's look at that. So if, hang on, shit. If, gosh, okay, I'm gonna pop into another replay and try and find an example quickly. Blowing Brawlhalla Banes.
3, 2, 1, brawl.
So here's, okay, this, my opponent's not doing anything, right? What is it? So what am I doing? I am doing a move, Atewaza, doing a move that will hit a waiting opponent. Why? Because what's he doing? He's trying to, oh shit, oh, sorry, language. Gosh, it's so hard to describe. So hard to describe. How can I bring this into Brawlhalla terms? Let me think for a moment. Calling a tactic a word mean you're weaker. What it's called? No. So I want you to passive aggressive is just not a strong paradigm for thinking about play in general. It's okay, but definitely it's not that strong. I think there's weaknesses to it. Sorry, I was rude. I apologize. Words you can associate with preemptively, yeah. It doesn't translate so well, but I'm trying to think if I can put it directly into Brawlhalla terms, because Now we're going to go just to training mode. It'll be easier to set up so I can think.